ばんは、皆さん。ごめんなさい。本当にごめんなさい。あの、お久しぶりね。Hey, how you guys doing? It's me, Alan from MMA Yakuza. And yeah, osashiburi. That means long time no see in Japanese and Nihongo. So that's your Japanese word for today. So yeah, I actually have a lot of people that commented on my Facebook page, mainly from work. You know, in person they commented, came up to me and really inquired. They wanted some more information about what I posted in regards to the trans fats and eating healthy and stuff like that. And yeah, so yeah, the Facebook page is actually, there should be a link on our lower side here on the main YouTube page. You'll just click that link. You can see all of our photos there, videos, and you can comment on the videos here or on Facebook too. And yeah, so I guess I'll just get started here. So basically, do you guys know what a hydrogenated oil is? Like, you've probably seen it before, right? Like on maybe packages for food. Like, do you know if it's good for you? I mean, these are a lot of things that are on our food packages that we actually look at and we sort of just ignore them, right? Like, oh, what's that? Oh, it must be good, right? Just take it in. So basically, hydrogenated oils are actually found in a lot of foods that we eat. You know, there's white and whole wheat bread, there's chocolates, frozen fries, microwavable foods, any frozen foods like that, like lasagnas. There's even healthy foods too, like you know, there's those snack bars. There's like whole wheat bars or healthy bars. Those fruit to go type of like I guess artificial fruit or real fruit, whatever the heck they are. There's cereals, gummies, fast foods as well. So a lot of fast foods like you know, Lick's Burgers, Burger King, McDonald's, and even some of the healthy stuff, or quote unquote healthy, like Subway and Swiss Chalet. So yeah, there are pizzas, cookies, and even shortening as well. So basically, what all these have in common, as I mentioned before, is that they actually have, well, most of them probably have hydrogenated oils in them, aka trans fats. So what are hydrogenated oils? I asked that question earlier. So basically, hydrogenated oils, or basically trans fatty acids, it's a man-made oil, so it's a trans fat. So when a vegetable oil is hydrogenated, trans fatty acids are produced. So these are artificial fatty acids for our body. So that's right, so it's artificial fatty acids for our body. Again. So yeah, so fatty acids, basically, these artificial fatty acids that are in our body, they don't our body doesn't recognize it as food, but it does try to utilize them like natural fatty acids, but it just doesn't quite work as well. Basically, your body processes them and puts them into a cell. You know, there's many uses for fat actually. So fat's good. So it, you know, it thinks it's a fat or a natural fat, and it puts it into a cell. But it's a natural, like thinking it's a natural fatty acid, but basically the cell doesn't function properly, and sometimes doesn't function at all because it's not a real fat fatty acid. So yeah, here's basically a little video explaining exactly what hydrogenated oil is. It's easier to see. Hope I explained that as clearly as I could. It's a little bit complicated. Try not to get too scientific about it, but yeah, here is really the scientific breakdown of it here.
A trans fat. You see, fat is just a big molecule that's made mostly of carbon. The carbon atoms are bonded together like a chain. There are hydrogen atoms attached along the chain, and if the carbon chain is completely saturated with hydrogen, that's a saturated fat. And if there are some missing spots, That's an unsaturated fat. Get it? Okay, so where does trans fit in?
Trans fits in as a bizarro type of unsaturated fatty acid where the double bond is present, but the hydrogen atoms that are attached to the carbon chain are on the opposite side of the carbon chain. Just about all of the polyunsaturated fats in nature have the carbon atoms on the same side. It's cis. But with industrial processing of vegetable oils, the bonds get rearranged so the hydrogen atoms are on opposite sides of the chain. Now, you might say, well, who cares what the hydrogen atoms are after all? But it turns out that we have evolved to deal with fatty acids that have the hydrogens on the same side, cis. We have not evolved to deal with these new kinds of fatty acids that are produced through industrial processing of vegetable oils, and this is actually wreaking havoc with our health.
Let's take a look at how these trans fats are made. The process of hydrogenation starts with a plant that is harvested and then transported to a processing facility. Here, chemical solvents are used to extract oil from the plant. The oil is then bleached, deodorized, and eventually pressurized in a tank that is heated to over 400 degrees Fahrenheit. These extreme temperatures allow a chemical reaction to occur when heavy metals are added as a catalyst. The most commonly used are aluminum, nickel, and cobalt, none of which should be consumed by humans. Finally, hydrogen gas is blasted into the tank and bonded to the oil. The result is two types of hydrogenated oils, fully and partially. Partially hydrogenated oils are the ones preferred by the food and restaurant industry, but in either case, the molecular structure of the oil has been changed and it is no longer in its natural state.
Right, so that's a little breakdown there, a scientific breakdown of the hydrogenation process. And so basically some key things here. And so hydrogenated oils are the same thing as trans fats, or it's another word for it. And another thing to watch out for is on the labels. So when you look in the ingredients labels, you'll see, if you see anything that says hydrogenated canola oil, hydrogenated vegetable oil, hydrogenated coconut oil, hydrogenated anything, any oil there, just watch out for that, 'cause that's just basically the same thing as hydrogenation process. So it's fake fats equals not good. So yeah, some key things also as well as with the FDA, basically the governing body with the Food and Drug Association there from the States. They have this thing where companies, they can list that there's 0 trans fats in their serving there, or like, you know, you probably see in the stores like those foods or potato chips, whatever, and snacks that have 0 trans fat on the cover, or on the front of the packaging. It'll say 0 trans fat, and basically what that means, what the FDA has granted these companies to that actually say 0 trans fat. Some of them are telling the truth, but probably 95% of them are lying. And you could clearly see, basically, with the FDA, they allow these companies to put 0 trans fat because what the FDA considers 0 trans fat is not 0 trans fat. 0 trans fat to them is 0.5 grams or less, which is not really 0. I don't know where they went to school, but 0.5 is not 0. Not to me, not to anyone that I know. And yeah, so that's how these companies could say 0 trans fat. So you gotta watch out, because you can look at something. When I found this out, I went to the grocery store and I picked up some. Well, everything I was buying or thinking of buying, I looked at the ingredients and I see 0 trans fat. And I look at the ingredients and it says hydrogenated oils. So hydrogenated oils is 0 trans fat. And it's another trick that they use as well too, that the companies use, the manufacturers, is that you guys probably notice the serving size, right? Serving size of the back of the ingredients list there, or the nutritional daily value label there at the back. So with some foods, you'll see that's another telltale sign that it actually had trans fats, or hydrogenated oils besides, you know, if we don't see it in the ingredients. If you see something that says, for example, you buy like a cookie, some cookie package, right? It'll say like a third of a cookie. You know, there's a reason they don't tell you the full like one cookie, because one cookie has more than 0.5 grams of trans fats, which would defeat the purpose of the zero trans fat label. Right? So it's another little trick there. So you gotta watch out for, and you know, just look out for things that actually say like, you know, a certain amount of grams, like half a cookie or a quarter of a bar, half a bar, or anything strange like that. Or milliliters, you know, if it's a chocolate drink or something like that, or any drinks like that. If it's this, most companies out there, they don't like to put the full, like one bottle or one bag. There's actually one chips that works, some plantain chips. That's like the only company that I've seen so far. On the back of that chips, it says actually what per one bag, this is what's in it. So, you know, realistically, all companies should be saying that, right? Per one bag, this is what's in it. But because of this 0.5 nonsense that's going on, that's why you get a bunch of different measurements everywhere and a bunch of nonsense, right? But the runaround, basically. So, yeah, so basically, there's a little video coming up here, just showing you the power of these hydrogenated oils, that the reason why they're in the food, that these preservatives are in the food. They're very strong preservatives. I mean, think about it. When's the last time you've seen the bread that you bought go bad? I mean, before I started eating organic whole wheat bread, I can't even remember the last time I seen my bread go bad. I mean, I may be guilty sometimes of eating it after the expiry date, so to say, but I mean, you look at it and it's fine. Inside out, it's fine. And, you know, sometimes I did some experiments where I keep them longer than the days. You know, people get them to the birds, for example. You know, oh, it's past expiry days, just throw them out to the birds or whatever. And it still looks fine. It's like 5 days after, 6 days after, 7 days after. And it still looks fine. It looks the same. Maybe a little bit of like, if it's a white bread, you might see some of the, maybe it's more white than usual there, if it's like 7 days or 8 days there, but for the most of the time, I can't remember the last time I've seen any bad bread. And yeah, so so they basically use those powers, the power of the hydrogenated oil, that's the selling power behind it for these companies, people that are making money off of us. Is, yeah, here is the hydrogen oil, which will give you a shelf life of like, I don't know, who knows how long. But it's definitely going to give you more of a shelf life compared to if you just use natural ingredients, right? So yeah, here's a couple videos of the power of the hydrogenated oil.